Welcome back to the Stephen Knight Show. Adam, how's it going? How's
It
DC?
it's going well, Steven. DC's good. How are you guys?
Can't complain, can't complain. Coming off the weekend. Oh, I didn't talk about this in Hot Topics, but on Friday I went to the Kirk Franklin. He's on tour promoting his new album, and he was on tour, and it was him, Tamala Mann, David Mann, um, Israel Houghton, Ty Tribute, and the Clark sisters, and they did an amazing job. But here's the thing: so one of my friends that text me asked me what was I doing, Friday night. I said I'm going to the Kirk Franklin concert. They said, well, I guess you won't be pre gaming before the concert because it's gospel, right? I said, absolutely not. When I tell you, State Farm Arena said, drink if you want. Them bars were open and the lines were not empty.
Well, Jesus made wine. I mean, come
Right.
on.
Well, he didn't make Jack Daniels.
Well, in a way you did, so
Right. Eventually, I guess he did. That was hilarious. And so I did have a Jack and Ginger. And so I texted my friend, guess what? The bar was open. And I had a drink. He said, not at church. I said, "What church?"
Oh man, the wild life of Stephen Knight.
Well, listen, I'll let y'all take it away with movie reviews.
Sure thing. So, speaking of gospel, I actually saw a movie called The Burial, and this is a latest release by Amazon Prime Studios, so you can catch it out on Prime right now. But what The Burial is about is a based on true event story about a funeral home owner in southern Mississippi getting kind of in a bad deal with a big corporation that's been buying funeral homes, and he's in a bad contract. And so what he does is he reaches out to a lawyer called Willie Gary, sorry, and he is actually a personal injury attorney, but he decides to help this owner, Jeremiah Joseph O'Keefe, with this case. And so this is a courtroom drama, but the thing is, Willie Gary is played by Jamie Foxx, and Jeremiah O'Keefe is played by Tommy Lee Jones. So you have two titans of film industry in this movie, and it's a really good story. Courtroom dramas can be hit or miss. You do spend a lot of time watching people in the courtroom going back and forth, talking about objections, things like that. But really, this movie is benefited by its cast. And in addition to Jamie Foxx and Tommy Lee Jones, we have Journey Smollett in it, Alan Ruck, fresh off of his Succession run, and a bunch of other actors in here that really tie this whole story together. And takes place in the early 90s or the mid 90s, but it's a good film. I liked it a lot. Jamie Foxx is great. Tommy Lee Jones does a great job. There's some good funny moments. There's some good, kind of emotional moments, and overall, a great story and something I would recommend. So if you're a fan of Jamie Foxx, if you like Tommy Lee Jones, check this out. Jamie Foxx, I don't know what he's doing, but he doesn't look like he's aging. And in this movie, you're like, he's looking a lot younger than I think he should look as compared to other movies. So keep it up, Jamie Foxx. But highly recommend The Burial.
My brother agreed with you. He posted on, I think it was Facebook over the weekend. Great movie. So, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, check it out. And the reason I say it is because at the beginning of the movie, it looks like he's at a church, and I don't know if he's just like a special guest for the day or something, but he's very gospel like, and really,
Mhm.
really moving the crowd and getting them all hyped up. So,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, very similar. Um, Besides that, the only other thing I had a chance to check out because I was out of town this weekend was the first episode of the new Goosebumps TV series. That's
Yes.
yeah, that's going on right now, and so far I like it. So Justin Long, I think, is going to be our main character here, but it's really I thought it was going to be individual stories, but it looks like there might be an overarching theme going along with this. But if you like Goosebumps as a kid, if you read it, it has that kind of same feel to it. I think the setting is really fun, and I'm not one that's hunting down horror films, but the Goosebumps series is always a favorite. So if you're into that, check it out, I would say.
So as a filmmaker, I tend to
try to go a little bit deeper because I want to know why certain actors pick certain roles or they say yes to certain roles. And going back to The Burial, um, did Jamie Foxx produce that as well? Do you know?
So one of the production companies is Foxhole Production with two
There you
X's.
go.
I
Yeah, there
assume
you go.
it's
Yeah, yeah,
yeah him.
yeah.
But yeah, that's it's a good question. I assume probably Amazon bought the rights and then they worked with what his production company to kind of have him star in this.
Yeah, I tend to pay attention to that stuff a lot more now, trying to wonder why certain people pick certain roles and why they put movies on streaming instead of, in the theater. And it's normally true that if you have a leading actor who has weight in something on streaming, 9 times out of 10, they produced it. So it's them getting their film legs. And
Yeah.
the same with Goosebumps. Justin Long was part of getting Goosebumps back out there again because he was such a fan. So he's helping produce that series.
hmm Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. And Jamie Foxx has done some stinkers in his time, so I think he's a little hit or miss sometimes on the movies he selects. He still does a good job in them, but like Amazing
Mhm.
Spider-Man 2, I don't know who sold him on that movie or how that came around, but
Well,
yeah,
to be honest, to be a part of the Marvel family, that was a cha-ching. He didn't care.
yeah,
I
oh
mean, I'm
my,
sure he cared to some level, but for the most part, from what I hear, the Marvel checks are always lovely. No matter
well,
what
yeah,
facet you're in it, it's always lovely.
yeah, no, that's fair. I don't think he turns down the money, so
Yeah,
good point though.
yeah. So I saw a couple of films. The first film is called Infinity Pool, which stars Alexander Skarsgård. If you know him, his True Blood fame, and Cleopatra Coleman that plays his wife, and Mia Goth also stars in it. And this is about a couple that's vacationing overseas and they're staying at a resort and they meet another couple that the couple that they meet, they're a little aloof and a little weird and strange, but they befriend them nonetheless, and they go on an adventure outside the walls of the resort, and there's an accident that happens in which the law is broken, and Alexander Skarsgård's character actually gets prosecuted and gets locked up and he's sentenced to death. And when you go overseas, the crimes that are here, they tend to be more severe when you're overseas for
hmm
whatever reason. The laws tend to be more harsh. So his crime, I'm not going to say what it is, but his crime sentences him to death. And the gotcha in it is if you have enough money, we can get past this. And I will leave you with that. And it turns into this big, weird odyssey of hedonism and sexuality and mystery. It's deep, and you have to be prepared for a ride. It's a little roller coaster, and it's a little confusing in certain parts. But overall, I give it, it's okay. I give it an 8. It's not a 10, but I give it an 8.
hmm
Um, but it's definitely a mystery, and you'll be thrilled. So definitely check it out.
Nice.
The next film is No One Will Save You, and it stars Caitlin Dever and Geraldine Singer. And it's about a young woman living in a rural town, and she goes to bed one night and she wakes up to an alien invasion. And I'll say this. We've seen alien movies, you've seen alien invasion movies. In the beginning, this movie is very boring and it's dry toast. And then all of a sudden, it takes off like a rocket. This movie is a 10.
Nice.
I've watched it twice actually that I thought it was so well. So
Wow.
you can watch both those Infinity Pool and No One Will Save You on Hulu. So definitely check it out. And it's Halloween season, so I'm into my thrillers and my horror movies now. So definitely check that out. It's definitely worth watching. Like I said, I watched it twice.
Nice.
Next, for all my American Horror Story fans, of course, you know that it started a new season. The new season is called Delicate, and the series stars Emma Roberts, and if you didn't know, is Eric Roberts' daughter and Julia Roberts' niece. If you didn't know that, and she's been in some of the other ones. She was probably her mainly from Scream Queen. She was in that. And her co-star is none other than Kim Kardashian. Go figure. And she's not doing bad in the show. She's actually doing pretty well. And this show is a long, I don't want to say long and drawn out because it makes it sound like it's boring, but it's a elongated because it's in a series form, it's not a movie.
Hmm.
It's an elongated look into a story like Rosemary's Baby. If you ever watch that movie and you understand that film, this series is basically about a story like that. They flip it a little bit. You know, Emma Roberts' character is the actress instead of in Rosemary Baby. Her husband was the actor who had to pay the dues through his wife in order for him to be successful. So in this, the wife is the one that wants the baby and she's the actress. And so she's trying to get pregnant and she's going through all these things, but at the same time, under the watchful eye of a different group of people who are maybe helping her get pregnant or helping her not get pregnant. You don't know yet. It's a lot going on. So definitely check it out. This season of American Horror Story, for whatever reason, seems a little bit more gory to me. They seem a little bit, like they're. I mean, it's been always intriguing, and they've always pushed the envelope. But this just seems a little bit more
Hmm.
gory. So
Interesting.
I don't know. You let me know. You be the judge. You let me know what you think. But I just think that they're going for a little bit more this season for whatever reason. But yeah, it's so far so good. I'm also watching Gen V on Amazon Prime,
Hmm.
which is a spinoff to The Boys. And it stars Patrick Schwarzenegger. I wonder who he is. And Lizzie Broadway. Jazz Sinclair, and Maddie Phillips. So basically, it's the same thing as The Boys, but we're following a different group of heroes, and they're younger. They're in college, and they're just getting started with aspirations of being like the Seven. They want to be those heroes that we watch in The Boys. But of course, they don't know all the interworkings of Vault and what's going on with the company and all the tragic idiosyncrasies of the heroes. They don't know about any of that, but they're experiencing their own hell in college. Very good so far. Honestly, I'm thinking I'm liking it better than the boys. And them two, they're getting a little bit gorier. They're like it's a little bit more over the top. You know, the boys didn't hold any punches, but Gen V is like the boys on steroids.
Hmm.
So everything I've watched has been pretty well
Nice.
so far.
Yeah, I feel like it's picking up the good movies
Yes,
and
because
TV
remember we
shows.
went through a season where everything was crappy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Did you watch the morning show?
I did not talk about it.
You know, for some reason I wasn't on it this week. I didn't watch it till last night. Usually I watch it on Thursday or Friday, but it was
Mhm.
good. What happened? Can't
Uh,
remember.
that's how good it
It was
was.
Reese's character is still going back and forth with that woman. Remember her Reese's brother was at the insurrection.
Yes.
Um, so he decides that he wants to turn himself in. And so Reese tells him that's a stupid idea. You're going to lose everything, because they pretty much hid the footage of him being there when she was filming on her on
He's
her.
gonna lose everything. He doesn't have anything. He's a drug addict.
Well, well, Reese, because he comes to visit with his wife and their child, and so
Oh,
they
that's
take
right.
him
That's right. That's right. That's right. Okay, I'm
a
sorry.
tour of the studio, and so they allow him to listen in on an interview where she's interviewing someone who came out of jail from being in insurrection.
Wait a
And
minute. I have a question, and this is like the producer me asking a question.
yeah,
So this is the storyline of the show, and they wrote into the storyline. He went to the studio to listen in on the interview. When he trashed the studio and got kicked out, they let him back
right.
in.
That's what I thought. I thought about that. Yeah, yeah. But anyway, it was a few different things happening, but it's still good. It's still just continuing and everything. But Love is Blind. Adam, my shows like this. Love
Yeah.
is Blind on Netflix. So I found out. I saw people comment talking about it on social media, but I was like, "There's no way it's a new season because They just had the reunion, a year later from the last season, but it is a new season. So I spent some of Friday and Saturday and yesterday watching it. And someone told me it's not a lot of good couples that comes out that that you're rooting for, but there were, I think, three. There were three that said I do, but this one guy, I'm always like nervous, like because this is what I know. You can have a connection with someone, you can bond with someone, but if that physical chemistry is not there when you see them, because the purpose of the show is you get to know them without knowing what they look like or anything, and then you see them, that can change it for good or bad. You know what I mean? And so, anyway, there's this one couple, they come out, and you could kind of tell the guy wasn't necessarily maybe her type, but she said, because they asked her before she was meeting them, how did she describe it in her head, and she was like, probably tall, blonde, really white teeth, and he was completely the opposite. But she said that she's going to stay true to the experience and go with it. You know what I mean? This guy, it was like he was doing the Beyonce mute challenge. He barely said anything, and she would talk to him, and
wow.
And so eventually she confronts him, like, there's because they go from Hawaii, where all the couples are, and then they go to their own dwellings, and they're living together. And she asks him, "There's something wrong?" And she said, "I guess you're more chatty in the pods." He said, and so he prayed, but then he tries to say that he had built up who he thought she was. But when she came out, she had all this makeup on, tons of makeup on, and it didn't translate who she was in the pods. She said, "I literally had makeup on one day since you seen me. We've been together for weeks, so that's not it." You know what I mean? Yeah. Anyway, she ended up walking away. But there's this one situation. Let me get your take on this. So in the pods, there's this black couple. They end up connecting. But before they meet, so it's a black woman, black guy, and the black woman becomes friends with this Latino woman. And she's a girl's girl. Like anyone who gets their heart broken, she's the first one hugging them and consoling them, blah, blah, blah. Well, the guy ends up telling the girl that he found out when he first got to the show that the Hispanic girl, they were in the pod together, and he recognized her voice, and they had previously dated outside the show. And so he said, "Listen," she was like, "Well, do you think we should just, continue where we were and leave the show?" And he was like, "No, it wouldn't be true to the experiment." So they decided not to tell anybody. And so the girl he ends up falling for and the Hispanic girl, they become very close in the house. And so he tells the girl before he goes to propose, he tells her, "Hey, I have something I need to tell you." He didn't tell her initially, but he told her as they got closer. And so she said, "Okay, I appreciate you telling me, but I need to go talk to her. Just, make everything on a good space." She does. And the girl was like, "Oh, I'm glad I can, the secret's up." But then she said, "I'm very happy for you all. I never wanted anything, that situation between you all." And he was pretty much saying the same thing. But then she starts telling her everything about the guy. "Oh, I bought his dog this. I've met his friends that." And she's kind of like, "Okay, all right, girl." And then she's like, "Oh, be mindful for this because he likes this." And it's annoying. You know what I mean? So they're supposed to meet again, the couple. He was going to propose, and she doesn't show up. She leaves the show. And so the production gets her on the phone, and he's like, "What happened?" She said apparently her and the two girls had words, and she just left the show. He said, "But you didn't give me the heads up. You didn't let me know you had any doubts. I was upfront with you about this, blah, blah, blah." And she was like, "No, I still really like you. I still would marry you, but I just had to get out of that situation. I'm still living with this girl." So anyway, they meet up in person. This is why everyone's broken off if you move forward with your engagement. They meet up at a restaurant, and she's just explaining herself, and he's saying how heartbroken he was. He didn't blindside it, and he ends up not moving forward. He said, "I think we just need to end it."
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't either. She showed her hand. Like, you're not trustworthy. You listen to somebody else after you were already feeling a certain way, and you let that woman get in your head. No. No,
And
no, no.
he said his biggest thing, and he told her this, is dishonesty. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Or not being doing what you say you're gonna do. But I was rooting for them. I didn't like him initially because she had told him early on that he asked her if she ever cheated in a relationship, and just when they were in the pods, and she said she did. And then he was shocked by it, thrown off. And so she explained, he asked her to explain the situation. And she said pretty much she wasn't sexually being fulfilled. And she kept telling her boyfriend, and nothing changed. And she had a one time, affair, whatever. And so he starts berating her in the pods, and she's crying, teary eyed, because she felt bad about it. He said, well, did you ever tell your boyfriend? She said, no. He said, why not? She said, well, I didn't want him. He's such a great guy in every other respect. I didn't want to mess that up. He said, no, you didn't want to face what you did. So she starts leaving the pod, and then he has the realization. He doesn't know she's leaving. He says, and then she's already gone. The fact that you told me, speaks to who you are, because you didn't have to tell me that. But she was already gone. And so I was like, he was kind of hard on her. She would even say that. She confronted him on it and all this stuff. But there's this other couple. Let me get your opinion on this real quick. So there's a attorney on there. She's a woman, and she is dating this guy. Well, they're dating in the pods. He's going between her and another woman. But she tells him that she was in a relationship for 7 years, and the guy was an addict, drug addict. And she ended up leaving after 7 years in relationship. She got with a rebound who she ended up dating, and then one of her friends told her that the guy that she had been dating for 7 years died of overdose, and she said that was the love of her life. And so he was like, he took that like, she said, I couldn't love again. And so she asked him, she said, well, but I haven't felt that way about anybody since I met you. He couldn't get past it. He cannot get past it. And so he ended up going with another girl. But I don't know. It's just interesting because now there are different levels to it. Shut up, Adam. There are different levels to it, because first you're dating without seeing each other. Then you're spending time getting to know each other in an exotic place. And then you're seeing how the person moves in their own environment, in their own home. You're meeting their families and things like that. I really think
so I don't watch the show. Can I ask a question? Is there a therapist on hand to deal with these people dealing with these issues? Because it seemed like they need to talk to someone, like they need to work out their issues before they try to get into any relationship.
This is how they get on the show. They're not picking the normal people out of the world to be on these shows.
No, so the first couple from first season, they're still together. I think it's been 3 or 4 years. They're interracial couple. The black girl says she's never dated a white guy in her life, but they are couples goals. They've written books. They've gone on to do great things. The last season, there were several couples who got married and they're still married, but there was one couple in particular. When they met, you knew that's going to be a couple. You know what I mean? So it does happen, but there was one couple the season before last. You already knew. What are y'all doing? And they've divorced a year later. You know what I mean? So it's interesting, but it makes you, for me, I like that kind of show because it makes you think about how would I do in that situation. I know I couldn't do it.
Yeah, Steven, you gotta watch 90 Day Fiance. You're basically like, you would love that show. It's all about people like meeting and yeah, I mean, it's like people meeting, and usually it's on vacation, so it's kind of like that same situation.
Yeah.
Someone's traveling, and then they, fall in love or whatever, and then they get this visa, and then they meet their real selves. You would eat this up, and there's like 11 seasons of that show.
I probably wouldn't even watch it. But listen, the other show they have is called Ultimatum, and that's where you come with the person you're dating. And one of the people want to get married. They're giving you an ultimatum. Either you're going to propose to me, or I'm propose to you, or I'm going. But on this show, they come as a couple. They spend the week as a couple with other couples, and then they get to choose somebody in the group who they're going to fake marry, right? And so they end up spending the week with that person to determine whether or not they really want to be with the person that they came with, or if they fall in love with this person, or they just want to move on. Either way.
Yep.
That show, I think
that sounds very messy.
Yeah, these are the normal people signing up for these shows.
It's a setup. It's a setup. But to their credit, they're usually all under 30. Really.
Well, so quick question: if you got to sign up for a reality show, non-singing show, what would you sign up for?
You know, oh my gosh. So I wanted to say Big Brother, although that's still a great show. I didn't watch it yesterday, but it was a good show. But I don't think I could stay in the house with people I don't know with no privacy for 90 days. I just couldn't do it. I'd be annoyed. I need my own space. So I don't know. I don't know what show I'd be on. I wouldn't be on Survivor. I'm not eating no bugs or anything like that.
Yeah, I don't know. The only show, I've never seen it, but The Amazing Race sounded like a fun show to be a part of because
yeah,
it seems like a competition where you're just trying to go around the world or whatever.
yeah. Chike, what show would you do? Do you know?
It's not in existence anymore, but I would have done The Apprentice.
Yeah, no, I could do that. I could do that. Yeah.
Nice.
You're fired. That was when I liked Donald Trump. But anyway, anything coming down the pipeline?
The only thing, sticking with the horror genre, and Chike, I don't, I never played the game. This Five Nights at Freddy's. Have you seen the trailers for this? But it's basically a guy that's like staying overnight. It's based on a game at kind of like a off-brand Chuck E. Cheese, and the animatronics come to life at night, and he has to survive the 5 nights. And I think the game is like you're watching security camera footage, and you're seeing the animatronics move, and you're trying to like, I guess, survive. So I don't know. It's a hit game. People love it. I think it's got some legs, and we'll see if the movie's actually going to pay off or it's just going to be something cheesy.
So I hear that there's a new Exorcist out. So
oh yeah,
I'm a little interested in that. I don't know when I'm going to see it though, but I am interested in that just to see if it holds weight.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guys, as always, thanks for letting us know what to spend our time and money on, what not to. Have a great week. Come back right back after this.